All right, good morning. It is Facebook, Instagram, social media Friday. Dr. Gordon is off today, so Mark Bellinger here filling in for him. Linda is with us as always, our IVF coordinator extraordinaire.
Safe travels, Dr. Gordon.
Safe travels.
Yes.
Safe travels. Come back soon. And our NEDC patient coordinator, Krista Carter, is with us as well. And the reason is we're talking today about counting the cost. You know, ladies, we've all been here for a while now, so we've seen it throughout the years. There are so many costs, whether you're going through just the Southeastern Fertility side, doing IVF treatment or something like that, or you're going through both the Southeastern Fertility side and the NEDC, embryo adoption side. There are so many little costs, and we do all we can to let people know in advance that these costs are going to be incurred, but it's a lot of information to take in, and sometimes they slip by. People forget, and the whole reason for doing this today is just to make you aware of some of those costs that sometimes slip through the cracks. So we just want to do everything we can to be transparent. We don't have any interest, Linda, right, in hiding anything from anyone.
No, because there's nothing that we want to interfere with their relationship with their patients.
Mm-hmm.
And that, as you know, sometimes the financial side can be sticky, and that's why I have nothing to do with any of the insurance payments or costs or anything like that. But we do try to educate people about what to expect.
Yes, and so toward that end, let's start on the NEDC side, then we'll talk about some costs just on the Southeastern side that you might incur. Krista, I think a big one that not a lot of people, but a decent number of people, I'd say a handful of people every year sort of get surprised by would be the donor fees that they have to pay when they're here to do their frozen embryo transfer. Let's talk about that first.
Okay, so the donor fees, and we talk about this when you come for your initial appointment, but you get a lot of information, like Mark said, so it can be overwhelming. So donor fees, we won't really know if you're going to have donor fees till we know which embryos you're going to choose. And the way we stay nonprofit, obviously people are donating their embryos to us. We are not charging them, but the STD pre and post IVF STD testing and the shipping and handling to get the embryos here constitutes a donor fee. And so if you use a set of embryos that's never been used before, then you will have those donor fees. If you use a set that has been used before, then those fees have already, since they're a one-time fee, they've already been paid by another recipient couple, so you wouldn't have any. But again, we won't know that till you choose your donors, and then that's usually, once you are into the matching process, and that's not something you really know up front when you're choosing donors. We provide that to you, once we're getting ready for the cycle. So I think that can be, it's one of those things you have to kind of prepare for, so either you're going to have 0 donor fees or they could be up to 1,000.
Yeah, it can be a significant cost, and you should find out a week or two in advance before you come here to Knoxville. Sometimes logistics make it so that you don't find out that soon in advance, but we try to make sure that you will. So just be aware of that if you're starting the process with the NEDC. Another big NEDC fee that, again, it's on our fee schedule form that we give people, so you should always take a close look at that several times as you're going through the process, because we do list that donor fees are on there and that they're variable. Another one, if you're going open, is you're going to have to incur matching fees with Flourish Consulting Services, our social work agency with whom we partner for the open donation agreements, right?
Right. Yeah, and so if you choose to go the open route, the mediation costs are $1,700 is what Flourish charges for up to 2 donors. So whether you just do mediation with one couple that has enough embryos for your transfer, or maybe you picked a couple that donated 2 embryos and you need a minimum of 5, so you have another donor couple that maybe had 3. So it's $1,700 up to 2 donors. So whether you have one or two donors, it's $1,700. If you choose an additional donor, that would be additional $450 for each additional donor.
So these are significant fees, and you should know about them. We give a general estimate. Your first frozen embryo transfer through the NEDC should probably cost about $10,500. I believe that estimate is with these fees included, but I always like to tell people, you could, a good amount to probably set aside for our first FET with the NEDC, probably more like $12,000, because it could easily go up to that, right? I mean,
Well, and they'll have their medicines to pay for also.
and how much are those usually?
Well, usually if they have insurance coverage, it's whatever copay the insurance requires. If they don't, and it has to be coverage for infertility diagnosis, and if they don't have insurance coverage that includes infertility, then those can cost up to $1,000 to get through the transfer of the pregnancy test.
So that's a significant cost too. And so this is really good. I'm glad you ladies are here to help folks understand this. And I asked our ladies up front, Taylor and Christy, what are some of the hiccups that people sometimes run into elsewhere besides what we've mentioned? Well, if you are going through the NEDC, you need a down payment the 5th of the month before you have your transfer. You'll get a phone call from Southeastern Fertility, and that down payment is $650. Okay, so you get a phone call from that. You don't get anything in writing. You don't get an invoice or a bill. So know that. And then the ladies will call you again on the 21st to collect the rest of your transfer fee, and that's the most significant, highest fee that you're going to pay during the process. So that's one the ladies wanted us to point out. If you're doing IVF or something through Southeastern, here are some fees you need to keep in mind that are not part of your overall transfer fee or medical fee. And sometimes people get confused and think they are. Usually, you're going to have to come back for a couple OB ultrasounds. That's $330 a piece. Sometimes people are surprised by that. So there's another $660 after you're done with your fertility treatment. The final ART paperwork on the front end of your process is $225. So don't be surprised by that. We're warning you up front. Trial transfer, saline infused sonogram fees are $539. And again, these are all costs they're part of the process, but they're not necessarily on the grid that you see on the Southeastern Fertility website, right?
And the reason for that is because these are things that are getting you ready to go into the cycle, making sure everything is good medically and with labs. And so the things that you've mentioned, and to get the plan and the consents on that final ART. So that's all getting you ready for the cycle. Once you're in a cycle, the ultrasounds and things like that are covered by that cycle fee.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So it's a before, then you're ready, and then a during. So the cycle fee that includes ultrasound is the during the actual cycle.
Okay.
Not to get you ready.
Right, not to get you ready. This is all getting ready stuff. And like another cost that could be involved in getting ready, some of the couples would need a semen analysis, and that is $195. That would be the part of the getting ready fee. So if you need that'll cost you a little bit more. And the last one I had written down was an HSG, which Dr. Gordon does over at Abercrombie Radiology. I assume that would also be a preparatory fee, right? That's a sonogram.
And to check and see if the fallopian tubes are open and look at the inside of the uterus.
And that's $500. So it's important when you get into this process, whether it's with the Southeastern or the NEDC, or if you're with the NEDC, it's both NEDC and Southeastern. It's just important, like anything in life, to count the cost. And we, on the NEDC side, we certainly do what we can to help some of our patients afford the cost. But the bottom line is this is just an expensive process, and if your health insurance doesn't cover fertility treatment, you're just going to have to be prepared and come up with a plan, right? I think that's the biggest thing that comes out of today. And
well, and the thing is, market makes it harder for the patients is they can't call and say, I'm going to go through a full stem cycle. What all am I going to need? Well, we know some of the things, the semen analysis, the trial transfer, but some of the things like HSG are not needed unless there's certain conditions that are found on the initial visit and the ultrasound and the physical exam. So it's like, that's what makes it hard.
Yeah.
Because they can't call and get one whole list that includes everything, because some of these things come up as we do testing, and some people don't need them, and so we don't have this magic list
Right.
ahead of time. So it's like, makes it harder.
Well, I totally understand when people call and ask, and I very much respect and am with the person who, because people do call and ask. I just want all the fees. What is my final price tag gonna be? Because I'm one of those type of people too. Before I dive into something, I want to know what the price tag is gonna be. Linda just explained to you why sometimes we just can't give it to you. So you may want to just factor in all the possible costs, including these little detailed costs that people sometimes, that they get by people sometimes when you're starting out and think, here's my ceiling for a cycle, right? I mean, that's probably the best thing to do.
Right. I think so.
Okay.
Especially if you're a planner, which a lot of our patients are planners because they need to be.
Yeah, they need to be planners. Well, hey, we hope this has been helpful to you, ladies. I appreciate your expertise on this edition of the Facebook Instagram Friday, because
Krista, thanks for being here.
Yes.
We really appreciate it.
Sure.
yes, we sure do. Hey, we hope you have a great weekend. Call the office, obviously, if you have any follow-up questions, and have a terrific time. Thanks for being with us.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.